A very good morning, children. Hope you all are doing well. Children, today let's go through the poem House with the Grey Gate by Tabish Khair. Tabish Khair is an Indian English author who lives in Denmark. He was born in Ranchi and grew up in his hometown. His hometown is Gaya. He has received the All India Poetry Prize for some of his poems. Children, House with a Grey Gate is a psychological poem. It reflects the emotional crisis of the old-aged couple who lives in their ancestral house without any care. With every little sound they hear near their gate, their hopes arise and they expect someone has come to see them. Let's begin with the poem. In my street, there is a white house with a little grey gate that is slightly off one hinge and always open. Tabish Khair, the poet, says that in the street where he lives, he has observed a white house that has a little grey gate, and it is slightly off one hinge. That hinge is a moving joint to which the gate is attached. So it is out or it is off from one hinge, and the gate is always open. An old woman sits on its porch and knits. Porch is a covered shelter projecting in the front of a building. So this old woman, she sits on its porch and she knits, looking up when the gate creaks with age or wind. And whensoever the gate creaks, it gives a high-pitched sound due to its age, as it is an old gate, or because of the blowing wind. So the gate being slightly off one hinge and the blowing wind are the reasons which cause to make the creaking sound. So because of that sound, she always looks up to see if someone has come, expecting someone, though no one comes nor has come for years. So of course, though she expects some visitor, but nobody come to visit her, and this is the truth, that the poet has not ever noticed any visitor through the past years. An old man sometimes tidies, that is, he arranges it neatly, tidies up the faded garden where shrubbery has spread, refusing to be weeded out. Shrubbery is a small area that is covered with small plants. Faded means lost freshness or depth of color. So this is the usual, kind of routine work that the old couple follow. The old woman, she sits on its porch and knits, and the old man, he arranges, neatly cuts the faded garden which has grown wild. He tidies up, he trims the bushes, the shrubbery that is refusing to be weeded out. That is, it was difficult for him to remove it. So shrubbery refusing to be weeded out, that is, there were weeds in the garden and it was difficult to remove them. It also shows that the old couple was like a shrub in the city of skyscrapers, and they did not leave their old way of life. this tells us that the old people find ways to keep themselves occupied with work, as the old woman was knitting, and the old man, he was into cleaning of the garden, maintaining the garden by removing the weeds. In this way, they keep themselves fit and active. Also, they do not resist to work hard, and they are ready to perform the daily chores of living despite their age. Coming to the second stanza, ever since I moved here, I have seen this little white house with the old man and the old woman and an old pattern of life. Now, Tavish Kher again asserts the fact, he is stating the fact again, that ever since he had moved into the street where he is living now, in his house, he had been observing this little white house with the old man and the old woman inside, being the dwellers of the house, and the old pattern of life that they follow, refusing to be weeded out from this skyscraping street. So, of course, the old couple was like a shrub in the city of skyscrapers, and they did not leave their old way of life. Skyscraping street means extremely high, extremely tall buildings. So the buildings surrounding the White House were high, tall, also indicating the advancement of life, thereby contrasting the old pattern of life that the old couple were living, that they were following. Where two people had grown roots, once scattered seeds, and now, with a hope stubborn as weeds, still peer through curtained windows when the gate creaks. Where two people had grown roots. Now, over here, it means that these two, the couple, they had grown roots. They had increased their, garden in size. They had developed it, and they had also brought up and helped their children in the process of development. But now the children have left them. They had left them and they had moved away. So the surface meaning is, of course, that they had grown the garden in size and developed it, and they had grown plants in it. They had, when they had scattered seeds, then of course they had fed birds with that. They had grown plants, but the deeper meaning is that of course they had brought up their children. They've helped them in the process of their development, and when their children had grown up, they left them and they have moved maybe into another city. They have settled there, and they even don't have time to look back and to care, to help, to see their parents. So of course this is the kind of life that they had to live with themselves. And now, with a hope stubborn as weeds, that is, their hope is stubborn, that is, it is unbending as weeds. As the weeds, it is really difficult for the to remove the weeds. Similarly, their hopes cannot be bent easily. They have this hope that one day their children, or maybe their grandchildren, or maybe any visitor, a known visitor, would of course visit them, still peer through curtained windows when the gate creaks. And this shows, whensoever the gate creaks, they peer through the curtained windows to see if someone has come. The couple has been compared to the faded garden in the poem, with the strong roots which refuses to be weeded out. and the elderly couple who once took pains and made sacrifices for their children is left all alone to live by themselves. Children, their hardships are endless as they need to struggle to cope up with the advancements of life while adjusting with their physical well-being. They not only have to cater for their physical well-being, that is their health, their mental and physical health, but at the same time they are also coping with the advancements of life that is quite difficult for them at this age because there's no one to help them. Therefore they are following that old pattern of life, and of course their hope is endless. The open gate, children, signifies that their hope is endless. It is, the open gate of the little white house symbolizes that the old couple expected visitors to come to their house. They could also be waiting for their children or grandchildren to visit them. The little white house of the old couple is situated in the middle of the city, surrounded by giant or extremely tall buildings, surrounded by skyscrapers. This indicates that the inmates of the little house are not ready to accept any change and they feel content to follow their old habitual lifestyle. Other than this, the poet has used many figures of speech like simile, with hope stubborn as weeds. Over here, the poet tells that the old couple's hopes were unbending and unshakable, like the weeds in the garden, which were difficult to remove. There are many examples of alliteration, like grey gate, the consonant sound of the letter G is repeating, skyscraping street or scattered seeds, consonant sound of the letter S is repeating, creaks is an onomatopoeic word, the word old and the phrase refusing to be weeded out is the example of repetition. Metaphor has also been used in the second stanza, third last line, where two people had grown roots, once scattered seeds. This shows that the old couple had put efforts to grow plants and maintain the garden similar to the pains they had taken to bring up their children. So with this, I conclude today's session. Hope you all will go through the explanation again and revise. Okay, children? Thank you. Bye-bye.